KJM, and it's no makeup Sunday. So fresh face, except for the gloss, because I need the moisture. And I think today the topic is going to be vulnerability. And I've touched on this a little bit when I did my Black Love videos the other day. I want to start off by saying, before IG TV was allowing me to do 15-minute videos and I was good, now I'm down to 10 minutes like everybody else. So please follow, watch, whatever, share something, because now I'm feeling like a bum on the road. 10 minutes is just not enough for me. So you may see these videos in 2 parts and it may not be cut evenly where it should be or whatever. So I was kind of struggling today about what the topic would be because there's so much going on in the world. So I called one of my day ones, my sister, and I was like, hey, what can I talk about today? And she was basically like, well, do you feel like being funny? Do you feel like being serious? And I'm all over the place with stuff all the time. I think today we could dive in and once again, continue our self-care, self-love journey. And one of the things I'm going to talk about, and I've touched upon it before, is the issue of vulnerability, especially in romantic relationships, vulnerability. And when I say vulnerability, it can mean so many different things. For example, it could be, I guess to me, it's divulging who you really are, the good, bad, and indifferent. And once again, I want to shout out Black Love documentary. I saw on OWN, I saw the 3rd episode for the 3rd season last night. I caught about 80% of it, I think, before I dozed off. And they were just talking about some of the darknesses and some of the dark turns love and relationships take. And it's always so inspiring. So if you've never seen the Black Love documentary, you really need to get that, cop that, watch that, because it's so deep. And once again, I want to remind you, the reason why it's so deep is because Black love was supposed to be something that doesn't happen. All these systems of separation, apartheid, slavery, Jim Crow, the new Jim Crow, they're all based on separating Black love. You know what I'm saying? And separating what could be so great. So it's awesome to see couples maneuvering through that and inspiring the rest of us. So that's my little blurb there. Part of what I noticed with the theme last night is people while dealing with the darkness of what they're going through with their partner, or whether you're the partner going through the darkness or whatever, is being vulnerable with your partner and choosing to reveal yourself to your partner. So many people may not realize this, but you could be with somebody for years and they still don't know who the hell you are. And I'm not talking about you put on some eyelashes or you got a fake butt or something or nothing like that. I'm talking about, I'm a very talkative person, but I'm not that big on communication. So what that means is my mouth is moving, but it's it's moving faster than most people can even think, because my brain is boop, 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 boop. But I can say a lot and not really divulge about who I am or how I feel about something. And I can kind of trick people to go on to a different subject matter if I don't feel like talking about something. That's one of the things. My issues with vulnerability definitely stems from childhood. It's just, I wasn't really in an environment where being vulnerable was kind of acceptable. And that sounds funny because I'm a woman. So, I've heard a lot of men grow up and say you can't really be vulnerable. But yeah, there are some women, you grew up in those hard knock households where being vulnerable is frowned upon. And I would say Black women are leading those types of households, because generally we're still the person in the home. We're raising, our children. We're doing these great things in corporate America and in our own businesses, and we have to play the role of super mom, super wife, and we just have to do so much. I know out of everyone, so much is expected out of Black women, we can't fail. So I think the thing with vulnerability is, in a romantic setting, is that if you reveal your true self to that other person, your demons, your issues, then you will be afraid that they will reject you when they really see this. And Terry Crews and his wife touched upon this last night. I don't want to give you too much because I really want you to see the episodes, right? And so I think the thing is, he had said that even though they had been married for years, he was afraid to show her who he really was because he was just like a mess and all over the place. And was she strong enough to accept him and support him in his journey on becoming a better person? I think the thing for me, like, I got kind of lucky when I met Julio when I was 15 and he was 16. Even though our family backgrounds were a little bit different, they were also a lot similar. We both had stories and things that we were dealing with in our childhood that made us very uncomfortable. So for Julio and I, it was actually very easy to be vulnerable as far as my childhood traumas and the things I struggled in, within like my family life, because his was not perfect either. You know what I mean? Like, his red flags were showing. So it was a little bit easier. I won't say I was completely 100% vulnerable with him, but if ever there was a person I was vulnerable with, it would have been Julio. Because like I said, we had some interesting stories in our families. And I didn't feel like his family was like the Huxtables. And my family damn sure is not like the Huxtables. Now with the X Factor, I can definitely say he's probably the person I've been the least vulnerable with. It just seems like a lot of his family stories seem so perfect, and a lot of mine are just like all over the place. So, he just sees this really strong person that has 90 million walls, and he doesn't really know where those walls came from. And we didn't grow up together. So it wasn't like Julio where some things I really had to explain, because, you can't be 15 and 16 years old dating and you don't go inside each other's homes and meet each other's parents. He can't just be pulling up on his little bicycle. It don't work like that in Black homes. Pulling up on his little bicycle and then I just get on the bicycle and he hasn't spoken to some sort of grown adult in my house. It just didn't work that way. But as we get older, like, the X Factor and I meeting as adults, I didn't have to divulge certain things about my life to him. He just sees the resume, and the resume looks like I'm really the fuck like put together. It really does look that way. So I didn't have to divulge who I am to him. And even now, I hold back a lot. And it has very little to do with him, and I think it has a lot to do with adulthood. You know what I mean? I think as children, you're raw, you're open, you don't really know your boundaries when you're sharing things with people. Once we get into relationships as adults, you're always afraid that people will, you may be afraid that they could use those things against you, the things that hurt you the most, or that they won't get you and they'll just think that you're a hot mess and just want to walk away from you. So I think it's adulthood. I don't think it's personal to the X Factor, because for everybody else that I dated in between the two of them, I would say they really don't know much about me, like at all. You know what I mean? So at least these two guys can like crack the surface. Why is it scary to be vulnerable? I think for me, there's a part of me that sees it as a sign of weakness. And I know that like it's crazy coming from a woman, but I feel like if you divulge who you really are, the things that hurt you, the things that can break you, then that other person has a lot of power where they can use those things against you, like I said. And I've seen it happen, with people I know who have been married a really long time, where they're still using these things against each other instead of using it to build up each other. So that was what was nice about last night's Black Love episode, is that these couples found a way to get over these dark moments and still build each other up. And these stories were not easy. I think I am a little bit obsessed with being in control. And when I say being in control, I mean like everyday life. I mean, even sexually. I'm obsessed with being in control. And part of it is, if you are in control, you can control how you are perceived most of the time. The message you're trying to send. And the message I'm always trying to send is like, I'm a badass. Like, I'm not gonna be sitting there crying over anybody all the time. You know what I mean? That's the message I'm trying to send. But it's because, growing up, I had no choice but to be strong. And I had to step into an adult role like early in life and, help raise kids and do a bunch of stuff, And I think whereas the X Factor, it seems like he got to be a kid and kind of grow up in a nice, home where he didn't have to deal with all this bad stuff and all that other stuff. So we're like day and night. Whereas, like I said, with Julio, I felt very comfortable because even though his family's narrative was not my family's narrative, his family's narrative was not perfect either. and I could see the scars on him. So it was like we were two broken people coming together. And, but even with him, like, he used to get very frustrated with me because he used to be like, I've never seen you cry. And this is over like 10 years of dating on and off, not just like when we were teenagers. He'd be like, I'd never see you cry. I've never seen you cry. And I'm like, why is that important to you? I do cry. I just like to cry in the comfort of my own home, when it's just like me and Jesus, right? I can cry in front of people that I really care about, as long as it's not someone I'm romantically involved with. But my friends, my very close friends, will tell you it is very rare that they pick up the phone and they hear me crying. And it's not that I don't cry. I do cry. I just feel like that's my personal thing. And I actually think when I become the most vulnerable with somebody, when I really feel like they get me, I'll be able to cry in front of him, whether it's a good cry or a sad cry. And it will be like a sigh of relief, because then he will be this person that will understand me and he will get me. And like, we all want to be understood, right? We all want to feel like somebody out there really gets who we are. And the thing is, my mind can wrap around the fact that showing someone who you truly are is brilliant, and it's powerful, and it's a sense of healing, because the more we hide who we are is the more we're dealing with these issues behind the scenes instead of bringing them up to the surface, and then they're creeping into every different areas of our lives. You know what I'm saying? So I know my mind, I'm intelligent enough to know that to get to that deep intimacy with another human being, I first have to be like comfortable with myself and be comfortable with sharing myself with that person. And I'm not just talking about knocking the boots. I mean, some of y'all will share yourselves with anybody. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't necessarily mean intimacy. It doesn't necessarily mean vulnerability. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. But where I can tell him that these things are happening in my life, and he can hear me and feel what I'm saying. And even if he has not experienced it himself, where I can be so free that I can share those emotions with him, I can share my thoughts with him and not be afraid that he's gonna reject me. And I think with the X Factor, more than anybody else, I've always been afraid that he's gonna reject me. There's a level of fear there that I've never had with anyone else. And I'm gonna say the main reason could be that we're so different. We're really different. Not that I was ever like any of the others, but he and I were really different. He's like the yin to my yang. I think the next thing is everyone has issues, but whatever his are, he keeps them so deeply hidden that he just comes across as like pretty easygoing and nothing really bothers him, and like everything bothers me. So there's times we've taken a million breaks, where I've been like, we need to take a break, where I should have just sat down and talked to him. And I talked about that incident that happened in 2012 and all the bad shit that happened to me. And if I had only had the strength to be vulnerable and to say, you have hurt me, whether you intended to or not. And I need to know like how we can make this work. If I had had that strength to reveal myself, to reveal just how much I loved and cared for him, I think we could be leaps and bounds further than where we are right now. You know what I mean? And I don't know what it is. For me, there was just no showing him that side of myself. I was just like, I'm gonna move on. I'm a date. I always got my, what do you call it? Like your little black book, my little Rolodex. There's always someone out there that, would like to be with me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. And that piggybacks from my video from in the week, how you can't replace one person with another, especially in love. It's just stupid. You just can't do that. I don't care how steady, secure, and caring your new boo is. If you're still in love with your old one and you haven't really cleared up all y'all mess, you in trouble. That's just how it is. So I'm working more and more on being more open with my thoughts and not being afraid that he will reject me. And like one of the things I do sometimes, and I know he hates this, but when I'm in my fear mode, I'll be in the middle of the night, and I'm a Gemini. So I feel like one personality speaks to the next and is like, yo, wake up. Because, we about to cause some drama in your very undramatic situation right now. And, I'll send him like a text and it's like a book, and he hates when I do that shit, but I do it out of fear. I send like a book of all the thoughts I'm thinking. And a long time ago, we had said like we should not be having important conversations over text. You know what I mean? But sometimes I do that because I want to, if he rejects me, I want to be able to hide that emotion. And then I'll spend all day around my desk waiting for him to text back. Sometimes he texts back right away. Sometimes he's like, he needs to think about what I'm talking about. And then he'll send something back that usually is going to piss me all the way off. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy because now he's rejecting me in my eyes. Even if that's not what he's intending, he is rejecting me and I've just showed him part of me. Sometimes I wish he would see the long text messages and be like, I know you're stressing. I know you're having a moment. Give me a second, let me think about everything and let's like meet up and talk about it. And let's see how we could meet each other halfway. Because I think if I always knew that we could meet each other halfway, no matter what it is, I would be more open with how I'm feeling. So that was the interesting thing about the Black Love documentary last night, the episode, was that these people, the partner that was hurting, had to finally reveal themselves. Or the other partner is noticing and starting to see some traits of who that person really is and now has to acknowledge how do they move forward as a couple and how do they get better. And a lot of it was like a therapy journey. Some folks had to go to rehab. I mean, it was really all over the place. But it's the fact that there was that fear of rejection, that fear of being vulnerable, that fear of showing who you are. And there is that person out there that is still going to love you no matter what. It's still going to stand by you no matter what. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to sit and take your shit. That may mean that they're going to push you to be better. They're not going to leave you in the hole you're in by yourself. They're actually going to push you further to be better, and they're going to hold your hands through that process. And I think if I was always sure that would happen with the X Factor, I would not take a million breaks. I would not be running. I'd not be dating Larry, Moe, and Curly, on breaks and just doing shit I don't need to be doing. I could be more open. And I think I mentioned this in another video that I've never said I love you in person to him, like, ever. That's really not my thing. I learned to do that with my friends and obviously with my family. But even to get to that point with my friends, something dramatic and traumatic had to happen in my life for me to realize that people could be gone in a second. So, I was the first to ever say I love you when it came to the X Factor, and I was kicking myself in the butt because I am used to guys always saying it to me. Even if I don't feel it, they're saying it to me. And trust me, if I don't feel it, I don't say it back. Point blank. So now I'm in this vulnerable position and I'm kicking myself. And I see a lot of things that say like the man should love you more, wonk, 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 and all this other stuff. I don't know about all that, but the one thing I know is people are dropping like flies, ladies and gentlemen. So instead of worrying about who said I love you first or whatever, realize that like it would be so much worse for that person or you to go and you never expressed how you cared about that person. I think that's a bigger regret. So the goal is to be more vulnerable, to be more open, to really let each other know what we're thinking, to get naked, even if we have our clothes on, to like, not have makeup on and show the bags and everything, and to say like, this is me, baby, like, this is me. You have to take me as I am. And because I've got so much shit going on, trust and believe, I take him just as he is. You know what I mean? I just feel like my baggage is like my stuff is so huge that whatever it is he's dealing with, it can't even possibly touch the crap I got going on. From family stuff to career stresses to all kinds of craziness. You know what I mean? So I hope I'm encouraging you all to kind of reveal more of who you are to the person that you care about the most. You won't ever know if they're going to use it against you. You don't ever know if they're going to reject you. You won't ever know what the future will hold. And that's the thing. I'm still reading the book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. That's the biggest thing about staying in the present. And so right now I'm trying to stay in the present. I'm trying to love in the present and not be so caught up in the future, or not be so caught up in the past, or not be caught up in where I think we should be or where I think I should be. And to continue my self-love journey, with myself, to get to a place of healing where the things that causes me to build all the walls, like, for a lot of people, building all the walls comes from past relationships. I have been so blessed that even with the dramas I've encountered, it's not half of what most women my age would have already gone through. Because I just straight up don't got time for it. Baby mama drama, you married, but you pretending like you not. You over here tricking and hoeing. I already dated the tricking and hoeing dudes like crazy in college. I'm retired from the tricking and hoeing. I'm retired from the boyfriend number twos. I'm retired from all that shit. And how I became retired is just a sense of growth. Like I'm trying to get to another level. And that's the thing to remember. You cannot control the other person. You cannot, and I told you I'm a big control person, so this is also an issue. Like, you can't control how they're gonna react. All you can hope is that tomorrow morning they're still gonna be riding with you. The day after, they're still gonna be riding with you, and after and after and after. And I think a lot of these couples, to see them get to like 29 years, 30 years, and they're telling their stories and they're telling their darkness, and they found a way to overcome it. What is that saying? That it can be done. You can show someone who you are, and they can accept you. And if they don't accept you, then that's a sign that maybe true love doesn't really live there. You know what I mean? That could be a possibility. I'm not sure. Every story is different. But be yourself. Be yourself as much as you can. When I do these no makeup Sundays, I have to go out later and run errands, so I will have some makeup on. But I would say 90% of the time when I'm spending time with the X Factor, I actually don't have any makeup on. So this is like the face he gets. He very rarely sees me like, I won't say glammed up, but with makeup on and hair perfectly moisturized and all that stuff. Like, I don't really give him the silk bonnet, but he don't be getting like, I don't know, I think like MTA, like the subway gets a better version of me like when I'm headed to work. You know what I'm saying? And part of that is just life because, after you've been dating someone for like a couple of years, you just go through like many different phases. And I'm not comfortable or complacent. But I do feel confident enough of what I look like without makeup and all this other stuff. And Lord knows, he's seen my weight fluctuate all up and through this thing. And he still loves on this body. So, it is what it is. So I can come correct with my physical vulnerabilities and my flaws. I don't care about that. But coming correct on my emotional, like what's in here. That's the journey I'm on. That's what yoga, meditation, and reading these books like The Power of Now, that is the journey that I'm on, is to learn how to be a more open me, a more vulnerable me with the people that matter the most, and to show them the good parts of me, the bad parts of me, and like to show them like I'm still showing up for them, and hopefully they'll still show up for me, and to show them like I'm not afraid to get naked in front of you. And I hope to get to that point sometime soon, but it's like a work in progress, especially when your stuff comes from childhood. It almost feels like you're always going to be working through those things. I know people have a lot of these vulnerability issues from just past relationships, abusive relationships. Like I said, I've been lucky. I've dated a couple jokers, but I'm one of those, I am what Lioness and I call runners. We're runners. So as soon as I see trouble, my bags are packed and I'm probably living in a different state under a different name. That's usually how I move. You know what I'm saying? So I haven't had to really sit there and deal with a bunch of people's mess. I haven't. And I've been so blessed because I know I've seen so much in my lifetime through other people. So I've been lucky in that way. But still, you can have issues just stemming from childhood traumas. And that's the stuff I'm trying to work through. So, if you can afford therapy, go ahead and get it. It's on my list of things to do. For now, like meditation. And one of the wives last night actually talked about how meditation ended up saving her marriage. How you can just put yourself in a different place of how you view yourself. But the work always starts with you. You have to realize that. That is a thing I realized a while ago. Oh my God, my neighbor's kids are out. So I'm really gonna have to wrap this video up because they loud. They are really 4 of them and they sound like Madison Square Garden, no joke. So, how meditation, she was talking about how meditation saved her marriage and her life. You never know. You never know what your higher power can do for you. For some people, it's going to therapy. For some people, it's learning meditation. For some people, it's a combination. For some people, it's just simply having a conversation with a partner that's willing to still be there for them. All right, folks, this video is going on to like 25 minutes. It's longer than I expected. But as usual on No Makeup Sundays, I want to give you the real deal. So I'm letting you know I struggle with vulnerability. I do cry. Not that I even think that that shows vulnerability, because some people can cry on cue and manipulate everybody. But I do want to share more of myself. And I do find the deeper I get into meditation and yoga, and the deeper I am reading certain books and trying to put myself mentally and spiritually and like my mind and body in just a different place, I feel better every day. I have certain stresses, yes I do, but I feel like I'm more capable of handling those things. I feel like I'm more present for myself, and I hope for others. You know, I don't know. Maybe in a couple months I'll ask the X Factor. And like I said, I don't really know where we're at. So it's not like we're necessarily like we have stuff figured out, but I think we're two people that care about each other. So we're just gonna start there. Like Mr. Tole would say, you have to focus on the present. And the present is he's breathing, I'm breathing. There is love there, clearly. And we just gonna take everything day by day. You know what I'm saying? That's all. So I'm just on my journey, still focused on self-love, self-care, taking care of me, and, you know, getting deeper into my meditation and getting deeper into, I know my triggers. I'm so aware of so many things. Getting deeper into being the type of person that doesn't have to react to everything, and being the type of person who I can say you hurt me or I'm sad without unleashing anger and still speaking out of love. I'm trying to learn how to do all of that, and it's a lot of work. So I'm watching the documentaries, I'm reading the books, I'm meditating, and I don't know how far it's gonna get me. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on all of this process, but I can tell you I'm almost 6 months into my yoga journey, and it's completely, I feel like it's a game changer. It's really changed my life. All right, that's it for No Makeup Sunday. I'm setting you guys free. You guys go out there, you guys be vulnerable, but also be smart on who you share yourself with and your story with, and understand that sometimes it takes people some time to process. It doesn't mean they're not going to stand up with you, but they do need some time to process it. So don't drop bombs on people and just expect them to, like, you know, don't be like, I have a gambling addiction, and expect them to run over and already understand you and understand your story. Give people time to process, and you continue to work on yourself. And like I said, if someone rejects you, then it just could be a sign that they are not the person for you, or they're not the strong partner that's going to walk with you as you try to get yourself together and as they try to get themselves together. You know, one partner may have more issues than the other, but it's definitely telling that both people probably have things going on. It's just one is just taking over the relationship at the moment. All right, I'm out. I wish you guys a very blessed and happy Sunday. And once again, if you have questions, you can write me on any of my social networks. I do put the videos up on YouTube, IGTV, on my blog, Kingston Expressions, which is at www.kingstonjlmichaels.com, and JL is spelled Jael, just in case. But submit some questions and I will try to drop back a video for you, okay? And if you're struggling, just remember I'm struggling too. Let's do this journey together. One love, and I'm out.